let me begin by asking you a question, if I may. What lengths would you go to for your married lover? Would you help her conceive a plot to murder her husband? Would you assist her in carrying out the killing and then helping her move and conceal the body? Would you volunteer to let her spray petrol into your face and set you on fire? Just go with me on this one. I know. And you'd let the doctors graft skin onto and reconstruct your face? And finally, you'd be happy assuming the identity of the man you just killed and pretending to his family that you're him forever. Okay. What could go wrong? Our story starts in 2017 in Hyderabad, India. Hyderabad is the capital of southern India's Telangana state. It's the fourth highest populated city in India, with around 6.9 million residents, and it's a major centre for the technology industry. One of its most famous landmarks is the Charminar, translated as Four Pillars, a monument and mosque built over 400 years ago. It's also where 32-year-old Sudhakar Reddy lived, with his wife Swathi and their two young children. To the outside, they were a normal family, but, like many people, scratch the surface and you'd uncover a different story. One evening, in November of 2017, Sudhakar's parents received a phone call from Swathi, his wife. She was almost hysterical, calling from the Apollo Hospital in Hyderabad, where she told them Sudhakar had been taken. She said that 4 men had broken into the house and attacked them, throwing acid into his face. His family rushed to join her at the hospital, where they learned that he was suffering from deep second-degree burns to areas on the head, face, shoulders, chest, and also a couple of patches on the hands and feet. Swathi had already made a statement to the police, but even so, his family members immediately felt that something wasn't right. They expressed their doubts that the bandaged man lying in front of them in the hospital bed was actually Sudhakar. For one thing, he wasn't very talkative, choosing to either grunt or whisper when they addressed him. His height and build seemed different, and his mannerisms a bit off. Still, Swathi insisted they were crazy and pressed on with attempts to engage the plastic surgeon for facial reconstruction once his burns had healed sufficiently. It was the last straw for Sudhakar's parents when, as hospital orderlies approached, bearing his lunch, a mutton bone broth, he declined the offer, saying that he couldn't possibly eat it as he was a vegetarian. They went straight to the authorities, noting that this man was most certainly an imposter because mutton bone broth was one of their son's favourite dishes. And from there, it all began to unravel. Police, already suspicious of 28-year-old Swathi, brought her in for questioning. She changed her statement many times, finally admitting that, yes, things were not as they appeared. She introduced into the conversation a man by the name of Rajesh Ajikolu, a physiotherapist that she'd been going to for several years. She claimed Rajesh had saved private photographs taken of her during their appointments and was blackmailing her to have a physical relationship with him, even going as far as to threaten the safety of her husband and their children. Swathi, however, couldn't keep her story straight. The police searched for this mystery man, Rajesh, for days. His mother told them that he'd said he was going away to attend a wedding, and no one had heard from him since. Now, eventually, due to mounting pressure from all sides, Swathi caved and confessed that she had killed her husband, Sudhakar, and the man in hospital was actually her lover, Rajesh. Swathi was arrested, and soon afterwards she took police to the remote spot where Sudhakar's body had been dumped. She told investigators that she had started to go to Rajesh's clinic for physiotherapy 2 years ago. Incidentally, police later said that Rajesh was operating without a license, having dropped out of a 4-year course after only 1 year. Swathi told Rajesh that she was unhappy in her marriage, and they started having an affair. It was said that a week before the murder, a cousin had spotted Swathi and Rajesh together in a car and informed Sudhakar, who then confronted his wife. They quarrelled, but she denied any wrongdoing. But Rajesh and Swathi had decided that they wanted to get married, and together they hatched a plan to get rid of Sudhakar. It was Swathi's ingenious idea, inspired by an Indian film she'd seen, to have Rajesh burn his face and then receive a new one in order to live using her husband's identity. In the 2014 Indian thriller Yevadu, aptly translated as Who Is He?, the protagonist Sharan receives a face transplant after an accident and resolves to utilise his new identity to his advantage, seeking revenge on those who wronged him. Swathi and Rajesh also made inquiries at the hospital about the cost of plastic surgery, saying they needed information for a burns patient. A doctor told them that such a surgery would only be possible if the burns did not exceed 30%. On the night of the 26th of November, Swathi's husband Sudhakar returned home. He'd been shopping for presents for his son's birthday, which was the following week. It's thought that Swathi, who was a trained nurse, administered anaesthetic via an injection while Sudhakar slept. When he was unconscious, she and Rajesh hit him over the head with an iron bar and bludgeoned him to death. They attempted to disfigure his face by burning it and transported his body inside a rolled-up carpet by car to Nawabapet forest, some 70 kilometres from Hyderabad. And as if it couldn't get any worse, the following day, and with his permission, Swathi sprayed a concoction of acid and petrol into Rajesh's face and set him alight. Sudhakar's parents received a phone call that their son had been attacked and was in the hospital with 30% burns to his body. They came immediately and took care of the deposit for the hospital administration charges. Swathi was already busy making arrangements for her husband's treatment, but very quickly Sudhakar's relatives began to smell a rat. When doctors came to change the patient's face dressings, Swathi made the family leave the room. They were forbidden from asking him to talk. Instead, he could write down his responses to their questions. After the mutton bone broth incident, it had become apparent that the miserable creature wrapped in bandages was unable to keep up the pretense any longer either. The authorities were called, and the net was closing in on Swathi and Rajesh. Following her confession and the discovery of Sudhakar's body, authorities confirmed the true identity of patient X in hospital by means of fingerprints and a retina scan. I think Swathi must have kicked herself for forgetting to singe off Raj's fingertips too. As a result, she was arrested and charged with the murder of her husband Sudhakar. Rajesh was permitted to recuperate in hospital on the condition that when doctors discharged him, he would be taken into custody.
పెట్రోలా లేకుంటే కెమికలా?
I feel petrol. It is basically petrol.
మరి ఒకేసారి అట్లా పడినప్పుడు మొత్తం బాడీ అంతా కూడా మంటలు రావాలి కదా, ఎందుకు ఆ పార్ట్?
No, it doesn't normally it doesn't happen. So we're all petrol was like poured on the face. It is sprinkled, not poured, sprinkled, sprayed over the face, neck, chest, and some areas on the back, and small islands on the hand and the feet. And that was not deep burns. Okay, it was a second degree superficial burns that has healed. that has healed.
కానీ మీరు చూసి ఉంటారు అతన్ని కూడా, అతడే పోసుకున్నట్టుగా ఉందా వేరే వ్యక్తులు పోసినట్టుగా?
No, that is difficult to say. That is very unlikely that he has poured. If he pours on his own, it will be different type of burn injury. It will, like, he'll be pouring over the head and like that. Somebody has sprayed it like that. It's like that.
ఓకే. అంటే ఇప్పుడు డిశ్చార్జ్కి అయితే అతను ఫిట్?
He's fit for discharge. He's fit for discharge. He's happily eating. His vitals are stable. No fresh problem. No fever. Nothing. He's happy.
తెలిసిందా అతనికి నేను రాజేష్ అని తెలిసిపోయిందా?
I don't know about all those things. I am interested in the patient care. I'm happy. He's doing well. He's fit to leave the hospital.
మాట్లాడుతున్నాడా ఏమైనా?
He's happily talking, discussing everything. He's fit. He's fit for discharge. He's fit for discharge.
సార్ మీరు ఒకసారి చెప్పండి.
3 weeks after he'd been admitted, Rajesh was wheeled through the crowd of reporters like the Elephant Man and bundled into a waiting car, which took him to the local police station. He told the media that he wanted to elope with Swathi, but that she came up with another plan. She insisted they kill Sudhakar Reddy, as, quote, she was afraid she would lose her children if she ran away. She also said that her parents would be shocked if they eloped, as opposed to how they'd feel if she, murdered a man in cold blood and... Never mind. Incredibly, it appears there's been no resolution to this case. For whatever reason, Swathi was released on bail earlier this year. It also seems she's been disowned by her family as nobody came to meet her, and she was sent to live in a state home in nearby Mahbubnagar town. However, on the 17th of March, she failed to attend a court hearing. As a result, the district court has issued a non-bailable arrest warrant against her, and as of today, nobody knows where she is. I did manage to find out that their 2 children are living with some of Sudhakar's relatives and are doing as well as can be expected under the circumstances. We can only hope that in the near future, police are able to rearrest Swathi and that she's detained, securely this time, and brought to court to stand trial for the cold-blooded murder of her husband. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting. If you'd like to support my channel, please do take a second to like this video and subscribe if you'd like to see more cases in the future. Take care. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.